Thank you very much, Margherita. I'm delighted to be here today and humbled for the invitation to come here, also in a splendid day in terms of weather and place, apart from the strike in Paris. So I'm very pleased to be here. I'm staying just about 10 days here, so we will be having some time for interaction and for discussions and exchange. Just a couple of words on myself. I'm Giambattista Dagnino. I'm a professor of management, a strategic manager, if you wish. And basically, we have started 10 months ago, about 10 months ago, in the end of November 2024. I'll show it to you a little bit further in a few minutes. A center for research, a research center in artificial intelligence management with other people, of course, not me by myself. And it's unfolding. I'll show you that after to you. Basically, I have three research streams which I've been working. There is some other related stuff, but the core business, let's put it like this, is this one. Competition strategy, collaboration and cooperation, which I started already in 2001. Then temporary advantages, vis-a-vis sustainable advantages, which I started in 2008, something like that. And AI, digital transformation, digital strategy, AI strategy. So these are the three main parts of the research streams in my career. And I'm based at LUMSA. LUMSA is based in Rome, a quarter in Rome. We have also a campus in Palermo, which I belong to, but of course I go to Rome quite often for teaching, for doing research, and also my rector, my president is in Rome. All the central structures, the quarter, of course, quarters is in Rome. Okay, so this is enough for now for me. Today I'm talking about human AI interaction, which is something that I'm taking charge of. And basically, this is a paper which started out with a former PhD student, former in many senses because he finished some months ago, but basically he had already left university, so he has no real affiliation now because he outside. So I'm by myself in this endeavor, and the original idea was developed by myself. So anyway, so what I was, let me see if is working. Basically, let me start from a short video. It's like 2 minutes, so I'll tell you it's very short. Because basically where we are heading with the AI. I mean, what is the situation? I don't want to worry you because this is not so much worrying, but it's a way of looking at science fiction. It's a very short piece of a movie, very famous movie by this guy, which was very, very knowledgeable some years ago. Anyway, and basically it's about a short talk between a guy, an astronaut, and on one side, and the HAL, which is called David, the astronaut. HAL is a computer, is the central computer of the ship, the starship. Okay. Can you see?
Open the pod bay doors, please, Hal.
But here doesn't show.
Hello, Hal, do you read me?
Make it bigger.
Hello, Hal, do you read me? Do you read me, Hal? Do you read me, Hal? Hello, Hal, do you read me? Hello, Hal, do you read me? Do you read me, Hal?
First.
Affirmative, Dave. I read you.
Open the pod bay doors, Hal.
I'm sorry, Dave. I'm afraid I can't do that.
What's the problem?
I think you know what the problem is just as well as I do.
What are you talking about, Hal?
This mission is too important for me to allow you to jeopardize it.
I don't know what you're talking about, Hal.
I know that you and Frank were planning to disconnect me, and I'm afraid that's something I cannot allow to happen.
Where the hell did you get that idea, Hal?
Dave, although you took very thorough precautions in the pod against my hearing you, I could see your lips move.
All right, Hal. I'll go in through the emergency airlock.
Without your space helmet, Dave, you're going to find that rather difficult.
Hal, I won't argue with you anymore. Open the doors.
Dave, this conversation can serve no purpose anymore. Goodbye.
Hal? 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 Hal?
You can stop it now. Thank you. In May, I mean, we saw that this kind of stuff. That was done by Anthropic. They made an experiment. I don't know if you have read it on the papers. I mean, it's quite known. They try to, I mean, blackmail the engineers. They want to stop it. And of course, there was a test. I mean, they gave to the computer some false information about these guys having affairs out of the marriages and so on. So he was blackmailing basically the computer. She was blackmailing the guy, the engineers, trying not to be shut down. Okay, so in a way, we are at this point. Okay, so we are at a point in which these machines can, we cannot say they are sentient, but they can take their own initiatives. Okay, so this is the situation. So they are agents, and then I'll talk about very short about that. They are not anymore just means or just tools. Okay, that's very important to understand. Of course, we are not yet ready for interstellar voyages. I mean, like the ones you see in Space Odyssey, in Star Trek, and in other Star Wars and whatever. But still, we are at a point in which computers have become much more autonomous than we can think. Okay. So let me go on if I can. So basically, one thing that we are thinking about is that one. Are we collectively in danger? I mean, danger means that computers can take over. So we have to think, to reflect about that in a way, in another. And the other part of the story, we have to change our categories, the mental way of thinking that we had until now. Until now, we had been the center of the universe in a way or another. I mean, as a human species, we have been the one in charge. So let me go back to that basic idea. What is artificial intelligence? There are about AI, artificial intelligence, there are a lot of definitions, maybe too many. But the basic stuff is this one, simulation of human intelligence by heuristics, especially software, I mean, computer-coded heuristics. But as I was telling before, this human interaction is completely different from before. They are agents, not objects. They are species. Somebody says, this is Mustafa Suleyman, says these are species. These are another kind of species, a new digital species. So potentially they are also able to reproduce themselves, to generate other species, other sons and daughters. And also they are transformative species. So not a new technology. Of course, we are talking about Gen AI, agentic AI. We are not talking traditional AI. We are talking about Gen AI. When I'm talking about AI, I'm talking about Gen AI, agentic AI. And in a way, I try to understand what's happening because why are they transformative? What does it mean to be transformative? And I had to, in a way, take this idea of Carl Gustav Jung, who was of course, he was applying that to people, not to AI agents. But anyway, he was saying that meeting of two personalities is like the contact of two chemical substances. If there is any reaction, both are transformed. So basically, we are looking at these agents like personalities. Okay, so this is, of course, my take, in a way, the last one, the other one not. But I think that we are transformed by this interaction as much as the other part of the story. I mean, the AI agents are transformed as well. So we have to reflect about that, the agent species and transformative species. And basically, the other part of the story is the one by Faith A.D. She's a director of the Human Centered AI Institute at Stanford University. And I changed a little bit the story, but basically, because we were saying we are in the future, and we say that we are already there. That was said a couple of years ago. So we are in a path that is going towards AI, not towards human versus AI, but human AI collaborating to achieve outcomes that were impossible before. So we have to try to collaborate as much as possible. So that is the other part of the story. So, and then let me go to the presentation, very, very short, because then I have to present the paper, but very short presentation of what is this center. We have also a logo. We have developed a logo, also using artificial intelligence. and I'll tell you something about this presentation. Of course, this presentation is not done by artificial intelligence, but I tried to ask AI also to help me out for this presentation. But just a couple of slides are made by AI, and also I revised it. Then the others I did it anyway by myself. But anyway, that was established, as I told you, roughly 10 months ago. We have also a web page, and we have also LinkedIn, and also I think nowadays Instagram. Anyway, so the logo is nice. I think we took a lot of time to develop that. Look, one thing that's very important is the human-centered view of AI. So we have to keep humans at the center stage. We need to do that for sure. And also we don't have to have, say, a sort of non-trivial or automatic acceptance of AI or coming up from this kind of side, that side of the river, put like that. So taking a critical stance and recognizing the limitation of AI, of course, as much as their advantages. And also, as I was saying before, exploring the interaction between individuals within the human species and AI, and how to enhance human capabilities. So in a way, we have to look more to augmentation than substitution in this way. And look, one thing that we are trying to do as best as we can is not to be ruled by AI. As I was saying before, we don't have to be ruled by AI, because this is a risk, a danger, if you want, that we can, in a way, we can have. And basically, we can become an endangered species. It was a reflection I was making last time. Saying we have been talking for a long time, last 30, 40 years, since I was probably in my elementary school, about endangered species. But now we are becoming endangered species in a way, and we have created the other part of the story which have made us endangered in a way. So anyway, so just to be sure, human-centered view of AI, use management tools. In fact, it's called the LICAIM, the LUMSA, International Research Center for AI Management, because we want not to be ruled by AI, we want to manage still AI, and also we want to be basically to use also management tools that we have. These are tools to try not to be ruled by AI, but to have this kind of interaction, which is becoming more peer. In the past, we had to use stuff as a tool. So now we are coming to a peer interaction. And then, of course, management and governance of AI I was telling before. Okay, these are, we have a scientific council. We are already 23. We have a diverse people in terms of background. We have like 10 law professors. We have some economists. There is a coming computer scientist. 2 are social scientists, as they found themselves. One is a psychologist, one is a sociologist, and of course a lot of accounting and management people. That's for sure. Otherwise, but I put them at the end. Also, we have done a next-gen team, which are from PhD students to postdocs. These are the guys, and so we have become a lot. Probably there are 2 people more coming over, so we should become 25 in a few weeks. And also, so we have basically a scientific council member in which there is also a next-gen team. Next-gen team, for example, has the duty of having the communication. There are a couple of them that are in charge of communication. And look, Apart from that, we have also International Advisory Board, in which Margherita, of course, is part of the game. Since the very beginning, Margherita. I was telling that to you more than 1 year ago, if you remember that. And now we have another guy who was joined us. He's a computer scientist and engineer from Mälardalen University in Sweden. Anyway, and there is also Chris Tucci. We were mentioning Chris Tucci and Gianvito as well. So there are the usual suspects in a way and the other. Okay, even Carmelo is another one who is in that sense. Okay, so and there are two other coming because we have other centers in which we are exchanging something. So we are two other people coming. So we'll reach probably 25 plus 10. So we are coming to 35 people. Okay, this is the international network. Okay, anyway, because that's very important, as Maria was saying, to have a very strong and cohesive international network. I think we have to do hubs, European hubs in this sense. Okay, then let me go to, I'm not reporting, I'm just telling you that we have 10 projects, 10 research projects that I'm not delving into that. 8 are already been approved. Yesterday, we have submitted, of course, as a unit, a Horizon EU Europe project, which is originally a big project, but we have to see what happens because it's AI in CCI, in culture and creative industry, should be a very strong egg-on competition about it. Anyway, and another one is coming over with the firms. Okay, let me go to the presentation of this paper. So I've taken a lot of time. Unfortunately, the technical problems have also taken a few minutes, but anyway. So let me go to the presentation. I try to keep it short in about 20, 25 minutes, but Margherita told me that I have 50 minutes to present. So luckily the time is on our side. Okay, so this paper, as I was saying before, is about trying to, let me think, talk about the paper just a couple of moments before presenting it. The idea of this paper came out from incompleteness or a sense of void, a lack of, say, fulfillment. Which was the lack of fulfillment? Because when we talk between AI and human interaction, we probably think that our categories are not anymore completely fit. For example, one of the categories which has been around for nowadays probably 70 years is the one of bounded rationality. The Simonian idea, Albert Simon idea of the people are intended rational but boundedly so, and so on, the traditional stuff. Nowadays it becomes tradition. But that was meant to be for people. That was not meant to be for AI people and individual interaction. So one thing that came to our minds was at the beginning this kind of sense of void. Okay, so basically, this category, which started in bounded rationality, started, as I was telling before, in 55, so already 70 years ago. But probably today has problems. What are the problems? Probably the problems are given by artificial intelligence and the problem in decision making. What is coming to firm decision making? Well, let's remember one thing. The idea of bounded rationality has never really entered mainstream economics, to be sure. Mainstream economics has always avoided, completely avoided, because they are still in the full rationality stuff. Okay, and so basically has entered in many social sciences, but not traditional economics. Just a very small part of traditional economics, mainstream economics. In fact, it's very strong in heterodox or unorthodox economics. All the stuff related with evolutionary economics, behavioral economics, all this kind of stuff. Of course, this is part of the central story, but not in traditional mathematical economics. Anyway, but we are not in traditional economics. For example, in management, for example, this has been a mantra, a rationality mantra for the last probably 40 or 50 years. When I studied, and it was in the late 80s, it was already like that. So I was instructed, bounded rationality was there. Remember that one that brought it, I was mentioning evolution economics, also transaction cost economics, all the Williamsonian stuff. So there are people taking also Nobel Prizes. They call Williamson story with the idea of bounded rationality. Albert Simon himself took a Nobel Prize in '84. And I think 20 years ago, more or less, Williamson as well. So, I mean, in non-orthodox economics, it's a central stage, behavioral economics, of course, and of course, management. Okay, so we are talking about management, and especially firm management and firm decision making. Okay, so the idea is that the reliance on bounded nationality is not sufficient anymore to meet the demands of the digital age. So there are two research questions coming up. What are the inherent limitations of bounded rationality in our digital age? And how can firm overcome this limitation through the use of AI? Okay, so these are the questions we started from, the void that I was saying before. And basically, I can anticipate that I'm trying here to introduce a third category, which is the one of hybrid unfolding rationality. Hybrid unfolding rationality. In fact, Margherita was talking about hybrid stuff. Hybrid means AI, human together. Okay. So basically, what are let's start from the limits of bound rationality in digital era. So basically, we have problems because there is an increasing rates and paces in competition. There are temporary advantages I was saying before that I'm studying for a while. Information access and overload. So the external environment has changed profoundly. And also, these elements are coupled with the so-called big data problem, or the abundance of data. So the idea that firms today have to process very big data sets, and they have to outperform competitors and enhance their decision making. So this is something that has been around for a while. Okay, this is not something that we ever created, just summarizing the background literature we are impinging on. Okay, so basically, as a consequence of that, the management of big data, I mean, in management of big data, there is a problem with using bounded rationality, so-called human bounded rationality. And also firms individually explore new ways to overcome these limitations. So AI, I was telling before, I'm not talking all the time about agentic or Gen AI, but it's AI for me. Imagine as a technology able to enhance firm performance with dealing with big data and mitigating the constraints of human bounded rationality. This is something already in there in the last 5-6 years. Let me check to go on. So basically, in terms of evolution, we have the so-called Olympic rationality, as Herbert Simon himself was talking about full rationality, the traditional mainstream economics, the perfect decision way, and so the full, the full dominion of information, if you want. Bound rationality with the self-satisfying principle that Simon was introducing already 70 years ago, and then a paradigm shift toward a third form of rationality. What is this third form? And that's the problem. I mean, we are trying to, if we agree on that, we are trying to respond in a way, attempting to propose a third kind of rationality. I can anticipate that this is not the end of the world. So the third kind of rationality for us, in fact, we acknowledge the limitations, is not the final step of the world. It's something that can coexist also with bound rationality, because not all the processes, I mean, okay, AI is pervasive, we see it everywhere and so on, but it doesn't mean that there is only the AI human interaction. There still is human interaction. So we admit for sure that more than one kind of rationality can coexist, just to be sure and to anticipate. I mean, it doesn't mean that this is the end of the world and that everything is going like that. But this is a way of saying, okay, today we cannot have only one kind of rationality, but we can have more than one. Okay, what did we do for doing that? So we are looking at two paths, basically. Path one and path two. You know the story of substitution versus augmentation. This is quite known today. So I'm not staying too much in saying stuff about that. Path one is using AI to replace humans, and they conceived as cognitive measures. I even don't like this way of saying the stuff, but anyway, this path is very risky, as said by many. Of course, a part of the work will be substituted, but doesn't mean part of the human work is already being substituted, but doesn't mean that everything will be like that, because you know that. Or it has happened many times in the past that when there is a new technology, for example, electricity, whatever, some jobs, even a good part of jobs, are substituted, but new jobs are raising, new capabilities, and so on. So we need to have also this kind of story. And the other part of the story, in fact, is recognizing that the human capabilities are essential and they complement. As I was saying before, we have to collaborate with AI, considering not only the cognitive limitation of the humans, but also cognitive capabilities that can complement AI contribution. So we are more on the augmentation side than of course, the substitution by itself. Of course, the part is substitution, but it's not all substitution. Okay, so basically, the human AI coexistence, the idea is that one, there is a cognitive complementarity. I mean, we complement each other in human AI interaction. Human intuition is not complete, at least now, not substitutable by AI. I mean, the idea of having so-called consciousness in AI is still not there. Luckily, I'm not sure it's coming over, but not there, luckily. Even Mustafa Soleiman, this guy, said it recently that we are not there, lucky in a way. And so basically, we are talking about the decision making, which is human eye augmented decision making. So we took path 2. So this is say contraposition, a juxtaposition between path 1 and path 2. Of course, we are here in path 2, we have a risk of overexercising AI augmentation or AI automation, because there is automation, augmentation, substitution, augmentation story. And of course, the perspective is human-centric, as I was saying before, like when I was talking about the center we are developing and so on. So basically, this is the idea. What is important here, recognizing the value of human cognition and the aim to harness it alongside AI. So this is a complementary idea, not a substitution or automation, complete automation idea. Okay, let me go on that. So what is a hybrid unfolding rationality? How we can define this third option? So basically, we are trying to facilitate a coexistence, seamless coexistence between humans and AI, enable firms to harness the full potential in decision making. And we are talking about the cognitive generative capacity of humans. So why are we going to hybrid unfolding rationality? Because there is already in the literature, even it was developed in a historical way. I'm delving not too much on that, but in the paper, I leave the paper, it's very well developed, this kind of stuff, by a guy that I know quite well, because it was my mate in my PhD, even if he's more in accounting. It was developed in a paper in 2015 in SQ, means a Science Quarterly, by Paolo Quattrone, and he was talking about unfolding rationality. Okay, it was rooted in historical analysis because he was talking about the Jesuits in the 1600s and 1700s, how they developed the double bookkeeping accounting, and how they used to run this kind of stuff. Okay, it's a very old historical way. Of course, we have tried to adjust and apply it in a different way. Also, we have changed the name because we are talking about hybrid stuff. Of course, we recognize immediately that the context is different because there was no AI in that account. But there are some pieces that I showed to you that are useful to this conceptualization. Of course, with the right and due changes and adjustments that we made. So basically, what are these adjustments? Okay, so what are the differences? For example, what is important here is that the formation and influence of procedures. So procedures are collaboratively shaped by humans and AI to adapt to different intentions. What is important here is that in this idea of hybrid unfolding rationality, we have human interrogations. In this case, not only humans, are interrogations about what we are doing, about the path we are making. And we are talking about continuous interrogations, basically, about the path we are pursuing. And this kind of stuff is a collaborative stuff that forms a dynamic loop. So in a way, both human and AI active contribute to a formation of a procedural logic. That's why it's a procedural logic, where unfolding rationality stems from the present. That was logical practice in the other part, not in our situation. Excluding sometimes human intervention through a direct involvement in some procedure formation. Of course, we have also always a supervision by humans. Okay. The other part of the story is that the unfolding rationality is tied to different contexts, I was saying before. And here we have humans and machines. So we see interaction between humans and non-human agents. Of course, that was not like that in the original story of hybrid rationality. Unfolding rationality. And then third, we have also dynamic equilibrium. What is interesting here is that basically we are talking about AI. So we are continuous fluctuation of, if you wish, oscillations between human and AI intervention, serves as the driving force between adaptability. So that's important here, the oscillation between human and AI intervention. So basically, this human AI synergy enhances the ability to imagine and evaluate various alternative options. And basically, this is the story of loops and continuous loop of interaction. Okay. So basically, the idea is having these loops in which we have successive cycles of rules writing interaction. Remember the procedural story. So these rules of writing and rewriting the situation. And there is iteration and continuous adaptation. So here, of course, it's with humans. So basically, there are three parts of the story. There is a new form of rationality. There is a continuous human-AI interaction, and a procedural logic and dynamic equilibrium. I mean, I'm not delving into all the pieces. I'm just reading after that what we have done. And this I want to read it. What we have done in terms of making it operational. Also because we have a manager here. So we have, at one point in time, we have identified 7 phases in hybrid unfolding rationality, a framework, which is setting goals, developing AI procedures, incremental self-reinforcing procedures, so setting goals 1, 2, developing procedures, 3, incremental self-reinforcing procedure. This is done by AI without human intervention. 4, continuous self-interrogations. This is done by humans. 5, detecting changes. 6, goal realignment. And 7, rewriting AI procedures. So basically, we have also done a sort of framework which is made by steps. It's a 7-step framework which goes on. Okay, this is basically the story. Okay. I'm not reading all the stuff there because there's a description, there's who is doing what and so on. But basically, in hybrid unfolding rationality, we have this kind of 7 problems. Okay, so let me go to the contributions because I think we are going to finish. First of all, we are trying, as I was saying before, to use human cognitive generative capacity. I mean, this is something that has not been dealt too much so far because cognitive capacity have been, in a way or another, exploited much, but not the generative story. Generative means that it's an evolving process of iteration. So we are trying to delve into this kind of stuff. We have also something that has not been explored too much, which is the generative capacity of human. That here in unfolding rationality is in dynamic equilibrium is done with between the two, human and AI. Okay, this is an important part of the story. So hybrid-fold rationality gives us the core of this dynamic relationship between human and AI, and prefers the development of common procedural logic common between human and AI, providing a better and suitable approach for firm decision making. So that's very important. That cognitive generation capacity goes into trying to enhance our firm decision making in terms of time and quality, speed and quality. Okay, so this is the generative approach, and we do talk about the recursive power of human interrogations, as I was telling before. So this perspective is a foundational pillar for a fruitful coexistence, a collaboration between human and AI. I think I said that too much, so it's already not telling it again. Okay, we introduced the hybrid-fold rationality and the iterating recursive nature of the process. So basically, writing and rewriting rules are subject to continuous iteration between human and AI, as I was saying before. And second, we have also a strategic shift from dealing from a single form to rationality, I was telling before, to embracing a process that encompasses different rationalities. Okay, and that's important because so far there was one rationality at the time. I mean, the idea of Herbert's was to replace full rationality. Everything is not full, guided by boundary rationality, by man, and so on. Today, we are changing a bit the perspective, saying, okay, there is hybrid-fold rationality, but it doesn't mean that boundary rationality is gone. Okay, so in fact, the idea of boundary rationality was to have a continental drift, as Simon said, from Olympic rationality for the full rationality of the economists, of the full rationality of the mainstream economics. Okay, so and then the idea of dynamic equilibrium. So basically, there is a sort of incapability of reaching a static order at the organizational level, but this is a way of enhancing resilience and flexibility. I know that resilience and flexibility, especially resilience, has become a mantra during the COVID, because everything was becoming from day on another resilient. We have to be resilient. So, but resilience, apart from the COVID story, that luckily has gone away and possibly is not returning, is important because it's a way of having a strong possibility of it's the opposite of fragile. Means not being fragile, don't be prone to this kind of stuff. And also this kind of idea resembles to the famous physics idea of dissipative equilibrium or temporal equilibriums that is quite known in physics, the idea of dissipative equilibrium, which means that they go to capture temporarily, the organization capture temporary rebalance situations of this equilibrium. Okay, so and basically, I think I can finish here now.